Here we go again. Welcome everybody to the live stream. This is Dre all day. Let's see, I'll put this little microphone in here so y'all can hear me a little bit better. Happy Saturday, everybody out there worldwide. As you come in, leave a comment. Tell me your location, name and location as you come into the stream. We're going to get into this. It's not going to be too long. I say that every time. Sometimes it goes longer if people ask me some good questions, but if not, it's all good. We're going to make it happen either way. Happy Saturday. ODB 305, what's going on? As y'all come in, leave a comment, tell me your name and location. We're going to talk about investment. Investing is what the topic is today. Not the kind of investing that you might be thinking. And even if you are thinking it, I'm going to give you an angle that you weren't expecting. That's what I do. Arash from Indiana. What's going on? Thank you for the comment. As y'all come in, leave a comment, tell me your name and location. We're going to get started within the next 30 seconds. My name is Dre Baldwin. For those of y'all who don't know, I'm a former 9-year professional basketball player, played internationally for 9 years. I invented putting athlete workouts on the internet, not just basketball workouts, athlete workouts. I invented that in 2006. That's just a fact. I've created over 400 programs, products, and courses, over 7,000 videos, 6,000 blog posts, 1,300 plus audio experiences, which y'all know as podcasts. Thank you for the daily motivation. You're welcome. What else? I've written 25 books. I've done 4 TED Talks. I've done a lot of things. I don't want to lay out my whole resume for you. You Google me. But let's get into what we're going to talk about here today. I want to talk investing. And everyone understands, or maybe at least you've heard of, investing when it comes to putting your money into something, right? You make an investment into the stock market, or you can invest in real estate, or you can invest in a business. Like on Shark Tank, you invest some money in a business. Hopefully you make some money back. But understand that every single thing you do in life is an investment. Everything you do is an investment. And the most important investment that we all make, even though when people talk about investing, usually they're talking about money, the most important investment is time. Because to invest money, you still have to give time. Right? You got to give time to doing your due diligence, finding out what the investments are, see what the opportunity is. Make sure that investment is paying off the way that it's supposed to. But we all, every minute, everything we do, we're making an investment of time. Every action you take is an investment of time. So even right now, if you're watching this, whether you're watching a recording or you're watching it live, you're investing your time into hearing what I'm going to say. So me personally, as long as I've ever been creating any kind of content that we put online, and I was creating it before we was even calling it content, I've always taken responsibility that if I'm going to be putting stuff out, what's going on, C Legacy, if I'm going to be putting stuff out, and I'm asking people to invest their time into consuming it, I got to make sure I'm giving them something useful. I got to give you something that for the 5 minutes that it takes you to watch the video, or the 30 seconds it takes you to read the caption, or the hour that you spend listening to the audio, the podcast, or the 3 weeks it takes you to read the book, that you should be better at the end of that time than you were at the beginning of that time. That's the responsibility that I take anytime I'm asking somebody to make an investment. And you should be thinking the same way. If you have a job, somebody's investing in you. Somebody's paying you money for that job, right? Or you run a business, somebody's investing their money into buying your product or your service. So hopefully they're getting more back than what they had to give up. Because if they don't, they're not going to keep buying from you. Like if you buy a book for $20 from an author, let's say that author has 10 books out, and you buy a book for $20 and you read it and the book's trash, you're like, this book wasn't even worth $20. You're probably not going to buy the next book that they put out. Like you won't come back and buy that service again because you don't think it's worth the money. So you want to get consistent investments from anybody in life, you got to give them more than what they got to give up in order to get whatever you're offering. Is if you're in a relationship with somebody, a friendship, intimate relationship, business partnership, any kind of relationship, if that person feels like their investment is not paying off, they're not getting any ROI for what they're giving up to be around you, they're not going to keep doing it. They're going to get rid of that. They're going to divest and get out of that investment. It's the same thing for you. And here's the thing that I was thinking about today that I want to share with you all, is that all of us being human, we're not always going to make perfect investments. Since we're human, sometimes we're going to make mistakes in investments. Any of you ever made a mistake in your investment? You ever invested in the wrong person? And invest doesn't have to be money. Again, you ever spent time with somebody and realized, like, maybe I shouldn't be spending any more time with this person? You ever had a conversation with somebody and said, all right, I probably this conversation is not going anywhere. Let me move on and go find somebody else to have a conversation with. If you've ever made a bad investment, then you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you went to the wrong school. Maybe you took the wrong job. You got in a relationship with the wrong man or woman, or person who's LGBTQ. I don't know, whatever they're calling themselves. Maybe you just made a bad investment and you realized at some point, maybe it took you longer than you wanted it to take you, but at some point you realized, you know what, this probably wasn't a good investment. I should have done something different here, or maybe I should do something different right now. Here's the key thing. Here's the key between what makes the majority of people successful versus what keeps a whole lot of people unsuccessful. It is not that you're just this genius, Warren Buffett, that every investment you make just turns out perfect. Even though I know Warren Buffett's, every investment isn't perfect. But when people talk about investing, they talk about Warren Buffett, right? Because he's this famous guy and he's made a whole lot of money and people think he has a Midas touch, but he doesn't. But all of us make mistakes when it comes to investing. It's not that you make every investment perfectly. It's when you realize that the investment that you made is not the right one, how quickly do you make a different decision and get out of the bad investment? That right there is the key to success versus failure. It's not that everything you do is right. Is that when you realize that you did something that's not right, how quickly do you fix it? How quickly do you change that problem? Here's what most people do. They get into an investment, they realize at some point that that's not the right investment, and then they do nothing. They just stay there. They just keep allowing that investment to continue, because in order to get out of a bad investment, that's going to require, what's up, Andy, 91282? That's going to require some effort. It may require a little bit more time. It may require some of your money. It may require an uncomfortable conversation. Any of you ever made a bad investment dealing with another person, place, thing, and then you wanted to get out of that investment, but you knew in order to get out of it, you were going to have a conversation with somebody that they might not be too happy about. You might have to let your girl know or your guy know, like, yo, this ain't working out. All right, you got to go, or I got to go. Or maybe you had to let your boss know, hey, I'm not working here anymore. Or you had to let one of your friends know, yo, the stuff that you've been doing, this ain't working. So if we going to remain cool, you're going to have to make some changes. A lot of people don't want to have those uncomfortable conversations. Therefore, when they realize they made a bad investment, they do nothing. They just let it sit there because they don't want to deal with the discomfort of having to get out of that bad investment. So this is how, if you haven't known anybody who they're in a situation where things are not working for them and they know that things are not working, they even may express to you, they may communicate to you, yo, things are not working here the way that I want them to be working, not with you, but in some area of their life. And you're looking at them and you're looking at their life and you're like, okay, it's not working. So why don't you just do this, this, and that? You can see clearly what they need to do to change the situation, but they won't do it. And you're looking at them like, yo, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just quit this job? Why don't you just dump this girl? Why don't you just change the way you're doing things here? You can see clearly what they need to do. And here's the thing. They can see it. It's just they don't want to deal with the discomfort of having to do it. Therefore, they just sit there and allow things to not go the way that they want them to go because they just don't want to deal with that discomfort. This is one of the ways that people become failures in life. Failure is not an event. Failure is not something that just happens to you. One thing happens and all of a sudden your life is terrible. That's not the way it works. Failure and success work the exact same way. That is a consistent renewal of the failure, a consistent renewal of the success that's happening. Anybody who's leaving comments, I'm going to go through the comments at the end when I take questions. So if you're leaving a comment, I will get to it. But I want to make sure I'm making my points here and don't break my train of thought. Success is not something that happens to you one time. You don't sign a contract in the NBA and all of a sudden you're a success. That's not the way it works. You don't lose your business one day or get divorced by your wife and then all of a sudden you're a failure. That's not the way it works. Success is something that you must renew every single day. You got to do successful things to be a successful person. I heard a basketball coach once say, at the moment that you're celebrating something that you achieved, you're no longer a success because you don't have a goal. You're not going after a goal. If a basketball team wants to win the championship and they win it, the moment that they're raising the trophy and spraying champagne on each other, they're no longer successful because they already reached the goal. Success means you're going after something. So success means you got to be consistently doing that. And failure means you're consistently doing nothing. You got to continue to do nothing to be a failure. It's not something that happens to you once. And here's the other way that people end up failing in life is that, so one way is when you realize you made a bad investment, wise people, successful people get out of it quickly. Fools stay in it and do absolutely nothing. And here's another thing that people do. They realize that they're in a bad investment, and then they complain about it, they bitch about it, they go on the internet and rant and rave about it, they get in the comment section and talk shit about it, but then they don't actually do anything. You know, they complain about it, they're making sure everybody knows that they don't like the situation that they're in, but they're not taking any real action to make anything different. And this is where time gets wasted. And this is the way that people kind of rock themselves to sleep, because they think, because now we have these platforms where anybody can express their opinions, right? Like this one, like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Anybody can just say whatever they feel anytime that you want. But understand, talking about something, any of you who's old enough to know, you know. Maybe your parents told you this. Somebody who was older than you growing up told you this. There's a difference between talking and action. True or not true? Talking about something and actually doing something about something are two completely different things. Just because you're talking about it and you're speaking out, that's the thing that people like to talk about these days, speaking out, or you started a fucking hashtag, or you protested in the streets, or you put up what do they call them? The protesting signs, I forget whatever you want to call those things. That's not the same thing as actually doing something that's going to create real change. So just because you're talking doesn't mean you're actually changing the situation. You're just talking about it. Now, maybe it'll draw attention. Maybe it'll get people talking about it. Maybe it will draw attention to you. Maybe it'll boost your profile. But if you're not actually doing something to change the situation that you're talking about, you ain't no different than the person who's sitting there just basking in it and doing absolutely nothing. That's the way that I see it. Y'all remember when Jay-Z did the deal with the NFL, right? And people asked him, yo, Jay-Z, you're doing this deal with the NFL after the whole thing was, for a lot of people, a lot of the woke audience was, don't mess with the NFL because of the Kaepernick situation. But Jay-Z said, well, look, kneeling was cool when Kaepernick took the knee and he spoke out and attention got brought to the situation. But it's time for us to move past the gestures and actually do something. Now, we don't know what Jay-Z is actually going to do, if anything. Maybe he'll do something, maybe he won't. We'll see. But the point that Jay-Z was making is the point that I'm making here. He said, okay, somebody spoke out, somebody complained, somebody protested, somebody brought attention to this thing, somebody talked about it. Now everybody's noticing it. Now what are we actually going to do? That was Jay-Z's point. And it's the same thing that I'm making to you here. When you realize you're in a bad investment, some people just sit around and do nothing. Some people start yelling and ranting and raving and talking about it, but neither one of them is actually changing the situation. You want to change the situation in life, leaving a comment or starting a hashtag or talking shit about somebody on your social media profile isn't going to change the situation. Something actually has to happen. And I was talking to someone the other day who was a serious anti-Donald Trump person. Now, this is not a political conversation, but they were seriously against Donald Trump. And one of the things that they said was, look, I mean, people could talk shit about him all they want, but if people don't go to those polls and vote in November 2020, you can talk shit all day. But if he wins again, then you're going to be complaining for another 4 years. At some point, action must be taken. And these days, I think a lot of people start to believe that just because you're talking about something, or you got a lot of attention for talking about it, or there's this whole conversation happening about something, that means something's actually happened. There's a difference between talk and action. There's doing nothing, there's talking about it, and then there's actually doing something. And that's on a whole other plane than just bringing up a conversation or whatever you want to call yourself doing because people are speaking about a certain subject. So what we're talking about here is investing. And all you need to understand that every single minute of your day, every minute, you are making an investment. Is either a good investment that's going to make you better in the future, or is a bad investment that is making you worse. There is no neutral in the world. There's no such thing as being neutral. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're either building or you're destroying. So you got to ask yourself with every action that you're taking, is this making me better? Is this making me worse? Is this going to pay off in my future? Is it going to make me worse in the future? There's no action you could take that's going to keep you neutral in the future. Nothing. Everything has a cost. When I was I took economics class in the summer after my sophomore year in college. Economics class. And any of you ever took summer classes in college, the class is like 2 hours long, right? Like 2 days a week because they got to compact it down into 6 weeks. There's only one thing I remembered out of that economics class. Here it was. The professor said there is no such thing as a free lunch. First rule of economics. No such thing as a free lunch. And what that means is everything that you're doing has a cost. Anything that you think is free is actually not free. I think Instagram's free. It ain't free. You're giving up your privacy. You're giving up everything that you know about you. There's a computer in Silicon Valley that knows it about you now. All right, you gave that. That's what you traded for this free platform. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Everything that you think is free is not free. Nothing is free. Okay? Then Meek Mill with Jay-Z and Ross got a song called What's Free? Nothing is free. Zero. Ain't a damn thing free. Freedom ain't free. Now, with all that being said, I want to take a couple questions. We're talking about here again, investment. My name is Dre Baldwin. I'm the author of this book, I'm author of 25 books. This is one of them. This is called The Mirror of Motivation. You can get this book for free by going to mirrormotivation.com. It's the link in my bio right here on Instagram. It's a self-guide to self-discipline. What I'm talking about right now, investing, you got to have the discipline to know when you're in a bad investment. First of all, you got to have the knowledge to know what's a good investment and a bad one. Then you got to have the discipline, and when you realize you're in a bad investment, to get the hell out of there and don't be an idiot talking about it or doing nothing. 90% of people are idiots. They just talk about things and they do nothing when they realize they're in a bad investment. But you could be different. You can separate yourself from everybody else if you choose to do something differently. So if there's questions, I'm going to take them right now. I'm scrolling through to see what we got going on in the comments here. And he says, cold as fuck out here in Cali. It don't get cold in Miami. Coldest we get is 50 degrees, maybe 60 degrees. Most people don't consider that cold. Daljit says, people would rather have a bad thing than have an empty void or vacuum. Absolutely. I talked about that on Work on Your Game audio experience as well. Leanne the King said, greetings from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. Shout out to Brazil. Shout out to Rio. Shout out to South America. I've never been to South America, but I heard of some beautiful things to see in Brazil, in Rio specifically. So I need to come down there. I heard that. So Leanne the King, you can let me know if that's true. Hill Figure 40 said, got to be real with yourself at all times. Live and learn. Yes, you do got to be real with yourself. The challenge is you can't be real with yourself if you don't have the knowledge to understand what's real, what's not. So people got to, you got to learn what's the real thing, what's not the real thing. Cash Chris said, how can I score against length? What the hell are you talking about? We talking about investing. All right, if you want to learn how to play basketball better, what you need to do is invest and go on to hoophandbook.com and get one of the 100 programs I got available there for you to work on your game. If you want to get better at basketball. All right, so we're wrapping it up on that note. Everybody have a great Saturday. Again, mirrorofmotivation.com, the link in my bio. You can get this book absolutely free. I'm going to post the link right here. Mirrorofmotivation.com. There you go. Everybody have a great Saturday. Work on your game. Dre all day.